Hu Yang has always had a dream since childhood. He wanted to become a great soccer player just like his idol. But the only thing he could become was a miserable loser. When he was young, he told his father about his dream, and he supported him. He told him that he had a special talent. He believed his words when they were just empty words, and enrolled in a soccer club with great enthusiasm. However, he quickly learned that he was a loser without any talent, and his coach sent him to practice with children significantly younger than him. That day, Hu Yong felt as if the wall of Attack on Titan was between him and his dreams. He couldn't stand it and left the soccer academy. He was too sad about it, and his father consoled him, saying that everyone manifests their talents at the right time. He told him that he might be a late bloomer, so he just needed to keep practicing. Hu Yong couldn't believe him for the second time and gave up football forever. Now he's a loser with a miserable job. One day he's going to celebrate the contract of his best friend with a professional soccer club. Compared to him, Hu Yong's job is being a part-time employee at a convenience store. He keeps swallowing his jealousy with beer while thinking that if he hadn't quit, then maybe he would have improved to become a professional soccer player as well. He tells his friend, who makes fun of him, saying that if Ju Zhong were a professional footballer, he would have already won a few Ballon d'Or by now. He tells him that it is too late to regret it now, and Hu Yong remembers the many opportunities he lost because he had been too afraid to take them after his previous loss. He curses himself and thinks he is an idiot. Hu Yong wants another chance in life, so he can go back and pursue his dream no matter what. While cursing himself, his friend asks him if he will join his other friends for a 4-on-4 soccer game. Zhang thinks this is his chance to reconnect with the game and happily goes with him. They go towards the boys who are waiting for them, and Hu Zhang notices an arrogant genius named Junan Ho. He doesn't even look at him. He was a promising professional soccer player, but he had to retire early due to a serious injury. Hon had had a bad relationship with Jun Hu since they were young, and it seems that this one still held a grudge about it. That's why our hero was at the same level of meanness as him, and he makes no effort to talk to him. It had been raining for quite some time, but then it started to get heavier, so the boys decided to have a quick game outside because the indoor stadium was full. The game starts, and Goyen runs forward with the ball because when he used to play, he was a forward at that time. He was considered to have an above-average physique and above-average technical skills. He wants to prove himself by showing that he hasn't lost them. Even now, he is about to shoot the ball towards the goal when Jun Hu steals it from him. Knows well that he can't be compared to someone professional. But then Jun Ho gives him a cocky smile, turning him on even more. Hu Zhang always wanted intense challenges like this, playing football intensely. He tries to steal the ball to defeat him, but he simply cannot do anything. Jun Ho kicks the ball towards him to make fun of him, and Hu Yong gets physical before other players come and pull him away. He goes looking for the ball from the sidelines when suddenly lightning hits him. He realizes that his life is about to end. Hu Yong is frustrated because not only did he not achieve anything in his life, but he was struck by thunder against all odds. While losing his life, Ju Jian screams for God to give him his life back when he suddenly finds himself in a strange space. He wonders where he is when he hears a terrifying laugh and turns to see that someone had heard his plea. But it was not God, but the devil. The demon makes his appearance before Hu Yong, who wets his pants but still acts confidently. He asks the demon if he is the devil, and he answers that he is the demon of greed, known as Mammon, the brains eater in human culture. The demon asks Hu Yong if he wants to make a deal with him, and he hesitates while waiting for him to tell him more details. Hu Yong asks the demon what kind of deal they are talking about, and the demon presents him with two options. He tells Ju Yong that he can exchange two things with him. The first one is time. The second is a special ability. The demon explains, saying that if Hu Yong chooses time, he will return to the past between 10 or 23 years ago. Hu Yong likes the sound of that. But then the demon tells him that there is no free lunch and he must pay a price for that service. He touches his chest, telling him that his years of life will be reduced by as many as the years he goes back in time. He says that if he were him, he would take it without hesitation. It is a win-win situation. He says that if he goes back 23 years, he will lose 23 years of his total life. But no one knows how long he could live. Hu Jong laughs, saying that there is no problem with that. He thinks that, in the best case scenario, he could have a life expectancy of 100 years and live long enough. Even if he doesn't live that long, he will be satisfied. Then he goes on to the second point. The demon tells Jong that he can also choose to obtain his ability, the power to get what he wants. Hu Yong asks him to explain, and the demon says that it is the power to turn someone else's into his own. Whom finds it hard to believe, but accepts the offer. Also, on top of that, the demon doesn't even ask for a price for his ability. Hu Yong asks if he is doing this as some kind of underworld community service. The demon asks him to simply say how many years he wants to go back in the past, and Ju Young knows at what age he wants to return. When he opens his eyes, he discovers that he is again a 10-year-old boy, and the news about his favorite soccer player is being reported on television. He verifies that his body is really like that of a child, and he learns that he has returned exactly 14 years back. Now, he is in the 3rd grade in elementary school. He bumps his fists in the air, thinking that now he can get everything he wants. Right then, he sees his parents, who look much younger. Then they have dinner together, and Ju Yong's dad does the same thing to him. He asks what his dream is. Hu Yong responds by saying, "I want to be a soccer player." But when his father asks him if he wants to be like Jason, the idol's son, he responds by saying, "I want to be even more incredible." Hu Yong smiles widely as he declares that he dreams of being the best soccer player in the world, and his parents laugh while they encourage him. Hu Jong realizes then he is 10 years old again, so he will have all this time until before going to sleep with the parka again. He asks Dad, "Where is Hypernova?" Supernova was the name of the ball used in the World Cup Korea, Japan, year 2002. Just seeing it made his heart beat strong. He goes outside and dribbles in the empty park and realizes that his childhood was really the best part of his life. This guy is living the dream that we all have. Then, Hu Yong decides to check if the powers he got from the demon really work. He summons them, and a system window appears before him, telling him that he does not have any talent at this moment. Hu Yong is disappointed because the system window shows that he was always a loser with no abilities of his own. He realizes that, at this pace, he won't even qualify for ball boy. Hu Yong keeps practicing just so he can adapt to his younger body and thinks it would be nice if he could find someone to compare himself to. He just has to say it when Jan Ho calls his name from behind, asking him why he was bothering the ball when he couldn't play. Ju Yong immediately starts a fight with his enemy, who tries to provoke him. However, instead of hitting him in the face like he used to, Hu Yong decides to observe his skills carefully. He wonders if he can use his power to see the skills from Jan Ho. And suddenly, the system window opens in front of him again. It says that Jan Ho has 2 talents. One is football and a powerful mid-range shot. To copy his talent, Ju Yong must meet the condition of playing football with him for 60 minutes. Hu Yong is excited to see the system window. He thinks that with the power granted by the Mammon Demon, he can see not only his own talents, but also those of others. I don't think that being able to see his talents will make any difference right now because he doesn't have any. Then, Hu Jong realizes that Yang Hu wasn't as good as he always thought. His talent was only B rank. He looks at the conditions to activate the demon powers, and even though he doesn't know what will happen if he uses them, he decides to try anyway. He asks Jan Ho to play soccer together, and he agrees. They play together, and Jan Ho says he will have more fun playing against a tree. The system asks him to choose one of the 2 talents, and Hu Yong chooses the talent of rank B soccer prodigy. As soon as he selects it, the demon magic starts to work, and the ability is copied to his status window. Hu Yang is super happy because now he is equal to Jan Ho. He knows that how much he can grow depends on his efforts, but at least now he is confident. I don't think how much he can grow depends on his efforts, but depends on the talents he steals. Then, Hu Yang looks at Yan Hu and discovers that copying a talent doesn't mean it will disappear from the original person. Yan Hu still has his talent, and Hu Jong sees the system telling him that he needs to play soccer with him for 50 minutes to copy his next talent because it was only rank C. Yeon-ho starts to leave, but Ju-young asks him to play a little more. He says he doesn't want to play with someone as bad as him, but Hu-young manages to bribe him with snacks. He is happy because Yeon-ho is still a child for now. They play again, and after 50 minutes, Hu-young is exhausted. But now he can also copy the second skill of Jan-ho. Jan-ho comments that he has improved considerably just in this practice session, and Hu-young smiles to himself and thanks him for it. He is really happy and wants to buy him some good quality snacks. However, then Jan-ho asks him if his mom will not scold him for buying expensive snacks since his family is poor. Ho-jung gets irritated hearing this and remembers that Jan-ho always had a nasty personality. He pretends to hit him, but shows him the money he has before running away, saying he doesn't need to bother with him now. Jan-ho is furious, but Hu-young leaves without worrying about him. As he returns home, he realizes that just copying the skill of a person is not enough. He feels he needs hard work and luck to make the talents he stole flourish. He remembers a YouTube video of a 5-year-old boy playing soccer, and Manchester United recruited the talented boy. However, there are no smartphones in his time, and Jong has to take another approach to become famous and get more opportunities. He thinks that if he can appear on television, he could have the chance to play with more talented players. He also has the perfect opportunity for this in the form of the Shori Youth Program, youth development during big international tournaments. Hu-young knows that 10 children from the program became professionals, and one of them was Kan Chul, who was recruited by a big club. Hu-young thinks that if he enters the program, it will be his golden ticket to guaranteed success. Soon, he tells his parents that he wants to be in the Shori program, the first of its kind. His parents have not yet heard about it because it was not famous yet. However, Hu-jung knows well which canonical event will shape the future of Korean football. His father reads the news about the article where it mentions how this project seeks to train minors under 10 years old. Guided by celebrities or coaches, selecting young football promises, they support their son, not like in real life. Soon, time passes, and the day of the audition arrives. Ju-jung goes to the training facilities where they are taking place. The audition's judges for the audition are Kim Jon-kor, who was a singer and part-time footballer. The other 2 judges are from the show's production team. The producer doesn't really care about casting kids with abilities, and they think that they should choose those who can capture the attention of their viewers. They audition many children and choose those who have some ability and can attract the audience with their personality or cuteness. The producer believes that they already have enough candidates for the program. Then, it is Hyo-jong's turn. The producer can see that he is average in every aspect, from his height to his looks, and resume. The only thing he has more than the others is confidence. So, the judges ask him to show what he has. Hu-young shows them that he can juggle the ball, and all the judges are mesmerized by his performance. The producer thinks he definitely has star material, without knowing that Hu-young trained this routine for a whole month to become so good at it. With the brain of a 24-year-old man and Jan-ho's copied talent, he was able to impress the judges, who thought he was a genius. Coach Jong-kook wants to test Ho-jong even more now. He tells him that they will play a one-on-one match where he will be defending while Hu-young must score a goal. Hu-young is sure he can do it because he believes he only needs to score a goal. However, Jong-kook does not really expect that, nor does he plan to disqualify him if he fails to score. He just wants some good shots to use in promoting the program. While Hu-young swings the ball towards him, Jong-kook decides he'll go easy on him, but suddenly, Ju-young whizzes by and scores a goal before he can process anything. Yeon-kook is impressed that Hu-young is good at something other than juggling, so he asks him to try it one more time, playing seriously. Now, he is genuinely curious about the boy's abilities and wants to test whether he really is a genius or not. Jong takes the ball to Jong-kook, but he realizes that he can't pass him, so he steps back and uses his powerful mid-range shot to score from a distance. The coach realizes that there is no need to try anything else because Hu-jung has proven to be really good at soccer. Hu-jung also realizes the good response from the production team, which means that he has secured a place in the program. He thinks that his hard work showed its fruits, and if he can maintain this performance, even in the show, he will surely quickly become a star. He is lost in his dream about being chosen by famous clubs, just like with Call, who was the most famous footballer produced for the program Shitaru. Hu Jong also wants to be like him and join Barcelona or Real Madrid. While he thinks about it, John Cook arrives towards him. He bumps his fist to Hu Jong while telling him that he will be the coach of the program. Just then, the parents of Hu Yong are there and greet John Cook. They feel like they've seen him before, and Hu Yong told them he's a famous singer. Hu Yong's dad immediately hits it off with John Cook. Then, he returns to the production team after wishing the best to the boy. However, as he leaves, Hu Jong sees the status window that shows his skills, and it tells him that he can copy one of them if he trains with him for 60 minutes. Despite this, John Cook's talents are bodybuilding and singing, which have nothing to do with football. Ju Yong is confused, but still wants to do something and approaches him, asking him to recommend some protein supplements. Those words are enough to attract any bodybuilder in the world, and John starts telling Hu Yong about the supplements he uses. Hu Yong takes the conversation further and asks him to teach him some good exercises while they are at it, and the man is happy to do it. They talk about protein supplements, exercise, and playing soccer. Soon, the hour required for John to copy John Cook's talent passes. He decides to choose the talent sculpted muscles because they could help him with his physique. Hu Jong can already feel his muscles getting stronger. Hu's dad approaches John Cook and asks him how he can thank him for taking time to help his son. He responds by saying that he also enjoyed playing with him. 2 weeks later, Hu Jong's dad receives a call informing him that his son has been selected for Shutori. He is elated and lifts Hu Yong, spinning him around to congratulate him. At first, Hu Jong feels dizzy, but then he also becomes very happy when he finds out that he has been chosen. He remembers the date of September 16, 2002, when his name was on the list of Shutor contestants. His parents are very happy because, at this rate, their son was going to be on television and become a big star. Hu Jong also feels warm inside because this was the first feat he has achieved after going back in time. He doesn't care about becoming famous or getting brands to hire him for advertisements. He just wants to show his skills and become the best soccer player in the world. He holds his ball, dreaming of the future where he will play for the main clubs around the world. And to achieve that dream, he has to work even harder. Hu Yong runs out to play soccer because he knows that, even with his cheating skills, he still has a long way to go. He may have stolen talents, but he still lacks the basic skills that delay him. The first thing he practices is juggling because he feels that he lacks the skill to use it in his game. He keeps practicing day after day and notices that he is really improving as he practices juggling in the morning. In the afternoon, he goes to the park to improve his stamina. Soon, the Shutori program starts, and Hu Jong has butterflies in his stomach as the first match evaluation is about to start. His match is against the best youth soccer academy in Korea, and the producer asks the coach to make his team play with everything against the Shutor team. He doesn't care if they lose the game by 20 goals. He just wants to make the children cry so that the audience also feels sentimental. What an idiot. He thinks that as the children improve, they will become better as players and as a team. Viewers will be amazed by their progress, and the program will be a success. However, he has some hopes pinned on Hu Yang, whose promotional video was a super hit. He thinks that, although it is unlikely, a goal from Ho Jong could do wonders for his audience. He feels that his talent will not be enough to turn the tables against the best soccer club in Korea. Soon, the game begins between both teams, and the Sotori team wins the toss and starts the game. Hoon thinks that, although his opponents are considered the best of children's soccer in Korea, no one expects much from this game. It feels like most just want to see the kids from both teams look cute while playing. That's his chance to shine. Hu Jong shoots the ball with all his might, and it zips past 2 defenders and to the goalkeeper. When it hits the nets, everyone is surprised to see how Hu Yong scored a sensational goal from midfield right after the kickoff. Then, he runs towards the camera to make one of the biggest steals in sports history. He knows that the goal celebration must be iconic so that a player is remembered. And that's why he steals Ronaldo's celebration even before he invented it. He was only stealing talents. But now he is also stealing celebrations. Meanwhile, the players and the coach of the opposing team are surprised because the level of Hu Jong was much higher. Beyond what they had expected, their coach, Sanbin, thinks they were lied to when the producer said the boys weren't that good at soccer. He himself was a national-level player, so he knows that Young's goal was truly exceptional. He can only think that he got his skills and power thanks to his innate talent. The coach is quite close. He thinks that Hu Jong's shooting technique is perfect, which is rare for children his age, and feels that he has great potential. As the game continues, the prestigious Academy of Soccer takes the lead and wins the match by a wide margin. Despite Hu Jong's initial attack, he is also quite tired after the match. Although it was only played in a mini stadium, his teammates are not as good as he thought. And while some are happy with their mediocre contributions, others cry because they got hurt. Hu Jian thinks they are disappointing, but it doesn't matter because they were there to train. He thinks that if he had his adult body, he could have defeated all the opponents all by himself. However, he can't win against all of them with his current abilities. The game is approaching the end, and Hu Yong steals the ball from the opponent and runs towards the goal. Hu Yong is surrounded by all the enemy players, since the rival coach told his players to go only for Hu Yong, since he believes that he will not be able to break through their defenses. However, the dribbling and juggling practice that Ju Yong did during the last few months comes into play, and he passes the opponents at dizzying speed, and he scores another goal. He does the stolen celebration again, and the commentators go crazy since he just scored his 5th goal. They call him a crane among chickens, but Hu Yong knows he's so good just because his mind is that of an adult. He thinks his body is like a computer with super advanced software, so he can't be beaten by other players of his age. Soon, the match finishes, and the prestigious club Chaban wins 14 goals against 5. Hu Yong is exhausted, and although his team lost, he has no regrets because he was able to show his skills. He lies down on the ground, thinking that this should be enough to turn him into a star. He is right, and the commentator says that regardless of the winning team of the match, the MVP is Ju Yong because he scored 5 goals alone. The presenter interviews him and asks him how he feels. Hu Yong responds by saying that he is still hungry, which again is something stolen from a famous soccer personality. After the interview, he runs to hug his mother, who asks him what he would like to eat to celebrate his performance. Hu Yong says that he wants to eat chicken. Then, Sanban, the coach of the other team, approaches them. He introduces himself before remarking to her how Hung's soccer skills are also impressive. He also comments on how this game gave him goosebumps. He takes a seat to chat for a while before getting straight to the point, telling Zhang's mother that he wants to coach her son. She is surprised and asks if he really has that much talent. Sanban answers that in his academy, it takes about 3 months to evaluate a child's talent with football. However, only by seeing him in a game, he can conclude that Hu Yang is close to being a genius. Then, Sangban says that he still wants to nurture Hu Yang's talent, even if he considers himself unethical. He believes that the boy is in another soccer academy right now and wants to talk to the coach there before taking him to his academy. However, when Zhang's mother says that he never attended a soccer academy, Sanban is stunned. He wants to know who taught Hung soccer and finds out that he has never had formal training and has only played with his father and friends. Sanban is speechless for a moment and then asks the woman if she wants to make her son professional. She thinks it will be a good thing for Ho Yang, as he also wants to become a footballer. She wants to know about the academic fees, and Sanban says that they are for different classes by category. But Hu Yong will go directly to Class S. Only those with talent and demonstrated ability could enter the S class, and the monthly entry fees were approximately 1 million wons. Zhang's mother thinks the fees are a bit high, but it is understandable since the academy is also prestigious. She wants to hone Zhang's talent through experts. She does not hesitate to think about using her savings for it. However, before she speaks, Hung asks Sanban if he can pay the fees later. He laughs while telling the coach that when he is a famous player, he will pay him 100 times more. His mother is stunned by his bold statement. But Sanban says that this attitude is a wonderful thing for footballers. He accepts his offer and welcomes him to her academy. Sanban tells Zhang's mother that at their academy, they have a scholarship system for special talents, and he will highly recommend Han Yong for this. He also promises to look for professional soccer teams and train abroad if Hu Yong shows considerable growth. He asks Hu Yong if he is happy with it, and he is more than happy. He thinks both parties get what they want with this agreement. For the academy, it will be great to have a student like him, and they will receive some publicity due to his performance on television. Since he does not have to worry about money, he will focus only on learning soccer professionally. He brags to Sanbon and thanks him for accepting him while the coach smiles at him. When Hu Yong and his mother return home, he observes the talent of a boy from the prestigious Chaban Academy and discovers that he had football prodigy talent, qualified as C+. In addition, his system informs him that he cannot copy him because he already has a higher-ranked talent. Hu Yong thanks Yan Hu for that because, despite being arrogant, he was still a talented player. Sanbon also had the gift of identifying talented players. However, Hu Yong doesn't need that because he has the system. He thinks he will certainly find someone with exceptional talent at the academy to steal it. Soon, they arrive home, and Ju Yong's dad throws a tantrum because he lost the opportunity to personally meet Sanbon, who was one of his favorite players. Then, he says that he is very happy and proud of his son, and he orders the best pizza to celebrate the day. When the pizza arrives, he remembers that in those days, they rarely ate out. He was aware of the financial condition of his family when he was young, so he never demanded that they buy him pizza, although he wanted it a lot. However, this time, he doesn't plan to worry about being out of money because he will become famous and earn a lot of money for them. Hu Yong enjoys the pizza and thanks his parents for the gift. About a week later, the first episode of Shotor is aired on television and attracts many viewers. Shortly after, Sanbon calls Hu Yong's house and tells his dad that he has been selected for the scholarship class. While they are happy about it, his mom comes running with even bigger news. She says that now Hu Yong has a fan cafe, and both he and his dad are stunned. They look up the cafe's address online and discover that it already has 200 members. Hu Yong is surprised, but upon reading the comments, he discovers that not all of them are positive. He is not new to the terrors of cyberbullying, but he doesn't care because he knows how passionate Korea was about football during this period of time. The year 2002 was the golden year for Korean football, but then it started to decline. People were expecting the birth of a new hero, now that Hu Yong is in the spotlight. He also receives some criticism, but still feels good about it. However, his father does not take the trolls or fake news so well. While he reads comments about Hu Yong being the son of a rich family that was sponsoring the show to give him prominence, his father gets angry, but his wife calms him down by asking him not to pay attention to the haters. They turn to Hu Yong, who says that he actually also likes baseless rumors like this, because that means that people are jealous of him. Still, there are some nasty trolls, and he wants to silence them soon. Next day, he goes to Chaban Academy, where he finds many children with rank talent C. Hu Yong licks his lips while playing with them, as it will allow him to steal their talents too, and he is eager to get a fourth talent now. While Hu Yong plays with other students, her mom shows her game to her little brother. Just then, a woman comes to talk to her because she recognizes her as Ju Yong's mother from Shut Tori. She is frank, almost too frank. She wants to know which soccer club her son has been attending, and what does her husband do for a living. Even when Hu Yong's mother tells her that they are just ordinary people, the woman does not believe her and continues to press for details. Then she asks about the rates here, and proudly, Ju Yong's mother tells him that his son is special, so he gets a scholarship. The woman is puzzled, but has no answer when Ju Yong's mother says that her son has a special talent. She thinks that it is definitely a great thing to have a rich husband, but raising good children with limited means is even better. Meanwhile, Sanhan is impressed by Hu Yong's growth. In just 10 days, he has become much more skilled. However, he knows that such unbalanced growth is not always good. When talented players reach a plateau of growth, they sometimes lose all hope and give up on their dreams. He wants to do something to keep the boy on the right path. However, Hu Yong has grown so much only thanks to his hard work and has not yet stolen any talent. He was admitted only into the A class, where he learned the basics about ball control, dribbling, and passing from the coaches. He also learned about positioning and stretching, as well as collisions with opponents. Sanbon also taught him to keep moving after passing the ball, even if he doesn't know where to go. He told him that doing so would improve his tactics without the ball, and he would be ready when the ball came to him. He told him that this skill was especially important for him since he aspires to become a forward. Hu Yong is grateful for all these lessons. When he was young, he thought he only needed to be good at dribbling and shooting to become a good player. But the more he learned about the game, the more he realized how wrong he was. But there is another benefit to playing this class besides the instructions. It's time to copy his skills with his demonic powers. Hu Yong first aims for a shooting talent free of ranks and meets the conditions to obtain it by defeating the player in a penalty competition. Although the skill is classified as C at this time, he believes that he can improve its level only with practice. However, that is the extent of the talents he can find in the class. He wasn't as good at it as he expected. He wants to go with the class's team that was training in a closed facility and can't get there that easily. Nor does he think the coach's talents are too useful, and knows that finding an active professional player to play with him is almost impossible. Then he sees Sanbon talking to someone, and Ju Yong immediately recognizes that that man is Chad, a genius soccer player. Is that the power of the plot? Chad, not only is he a great soccer player, but he is also Chaebon's son, a legendary Korean striker and founder of this academy. Hu Jong wonders why an internationally renowned athlete like him is here, and then realizes that Chad is more handsome in real life than he looks on TV. He wonders why he is here and decides to watch while listening to Chad and San Juan speak. He remembers that around this time, Chad received an offer from a European club and was going to debut there with his club. Hung thinks that this is a great opportunity that he can't miss. He knows he could risk getting nothing but contempt, but he doesn't want to let it pass. He uses his system to find out about Chad's talents and discovers that he has 3 outstanding talents, the lowest being a B+ rated physique, the second is fast pass, and the best of all is sprint speed, classified as U. However, if Hung wants to copy any of those skills, he needs to train or play with Chad for 500 minutes. But first, he has a question. What does U mean? He assumes it must be Chad's unique talent, and now he wants to acquire it at all costs. Meanwhile, Sanbon and Chad talk about how he's been busy lately with his schedule and is pretty tired. Just then, Hu Yong approaches them, saying he has something to give to Chad. He is very surprised at how he was able to recognize him. Although he was wearing a cap, Hu Yong approaches him with his closed hand and asks what he thinks it is. Hung gives him a good energy tonic to relieve fatigue while he laughs at his innocence. Hu Yong is happy to have made a good first impression, and even Sanbon is impressed. He tells Chad to remember the boy who was a promising player of the new generation. Chad takes the coach's word and asks Hu Jong if he would like to play with him. That's why he came here and eagerly accepted the opportunity. They play together. Hu is excited. And then they play together. Hu Jong runs out. Soon Chad says that he reminds him of his student named Jong. Hu Yong remembers that name because Jong was going to be an elite player in the future. Now he thinks Chad isn't only a great player, but also a great teacher. They soon return inside, and Sanpon asks Chad if he had an errand to do for his father. He replies that his father is not at home right now, so he will do it later, and then asks if he has seen Hung play. San replies that Coach Chabam hasn't seen him yet but plans to do so next time. Chad laughs, saying that his father could adopt Ju Yong and train him himself if he is impressed by him. Hung quickly takes advantage of this opportunity and asks Chad to take him home and raise him. Chad says that he is already training under a good coach, but Hu Yong flatters him by saying that he wants to become a good player as he begs Chad to teach him something different from Sanbon. But he replies that he is in good hands with the trainer, and he shouldn't be so greedy. Still, Hu Yong tries to convince him. Then Chad tells him that he is too busy to train him. Realizing that he won't be able to train with him, Hu Yong feels a bit dejected. But then Chad thinks of something else. He asks for her address and discovers that they live quite close. He calls Hu Yong's mother and asks for permission to exercise with her son for an hour each day. She is puzzled. But upon finding out that Chad is doing it of his own free will, she accepts the offer. Next day, Hoo-jong meets up with Chad, and they go for a run before playing together. Hoo-jong thinks that he is really making Chad very uncomfortable, so he feels that he owes him a big favor. However, after playing with him for over a week, he meets the conditions, and he has the opportunity to choose one of his talents, and he does not hesitate to choose his unique talent for the sprint. Chad was famous for running faster than the ball and losing his balance due to his overwhelming speed, and Hoo-jong also wants that. However, after copying the talent, the system tells him that it will take 30 days to fully integrate it into his system. During that time, he will not be able to copy any other talent. Hung is taken by surprise because it is the first time something like this has happened. But he understands that obtaining such a high talent requires such preparation. It does not really bother him. The cumulative period of 30 days, because there is no important competition during that time. And getting used to the speed is also important. He decides to progress step by step until becoming a great soccer player. Between recordings for Sut Tour and his own training, time passed quickly. Hoo-jong continued watching his own show along with soccer tournaments and was greatly inspired by the sensational debut of Wayne Rooney. After about a month came one of the biggest challenges in Show Tour. The producer of Show Tour knows that Sao Paulo FC has given birth to many Brazilian football legends. They were here for the Youth World Cup, and he managed to organize a friendly match with them in the hope that this match will boost the TV ratings to magic numbers. He is betting all his money on Hoo-jong to perform well again. Hoo-jong evaluates the situation and concludes that no matter how much he and his team have improved in recent months, they still cannot hope to beat Sao Paulo. The players were not only older but also significantly taller, and even Douglas Costa, who would one day be a star of the Brazilian soccer team, was also there. Hoo-jong knows that he has been a genius since he was young, but he doesn't remember seeing him in the Sao Paulo youth team. However, that doesn't matter to him, because now he has the opportunity to copy some skills of a genius. He looks at Costa's talents and discovers that he has prodigy talent in football with a rating of B+, fast legs, and a third talent that makes him swing like a pendulum between a genius and a mediocre player. To copy those talents, Hoo-jong must meet two conditions this time. First, he must avoid goals, and second, he must win in terms of speed. Hoo-jong finds the conditions and tempting rewards. Carlos, the coach of Sao Paulo FC, has seen some videos of Sut Tour and thinks that only Han-jong knows how to play football here. He does not believe that he or anyone else could represent a threat to his team. He asks Costa to take this game only as a warm-up, but tells him to score 10 goals anyway to show the world his talent. Then he asks another player, named Casemiro, to mark on throughout the entire game. Carlos thinks Casemiro will learn something by playing with him. But the boy gets upset because he declares that he is much better than him. However, the coach tells him not to let his guard down and promises to take him to the amusement park if he doesn't let Hoo-jong score any goals. They have to play in a smaller field with 8 players per side, and Carlos prepares his strategy centered around creative football while stopping Hoo-jong. Casemiro does not like receiving so much attention, so he decides to stop him without letting him score even a goal. The game begins, and Sao Paulo FC shows its skills, training, and discipline that are far above the team Sut Tour. His taller and stronger physique, as well as his clever passes, easily tire the Korean children. Castro breaks the defense with his immense speed. Thinking that it will be too easy to score, he shoots the ball, expecting it to score a goal. But Hoo-jong stops the ball, surprising him. Costa and Hoo-jong look at each other, and he tells him that he was lucky this time. However, as the game continues, Hoo-jong continues to intercept Costa and prevent him from scoring. He is getting frustrated because Joo-yong doesn't let him get a valid shot after the first moment and blocks any opportunity they create. Castro realizes that the boy knows how to play soccer and confronts him angrily. He asks him what he was doing on defense when he was a striker. But Hoo-jong doesn't understand English very well and uses some English words that convey his intentions to Costa very clearly. Hoon tells him that he didn't score any goals today, and the Brazilian boy becomes Super Saiyan out of rage. He feels humiliated because he is being stopped by someone who wasn't even a proper defender, Although the coach had told him that he is not exaggerating, he decided to show Hu Jong his true ability because he could not be defeated soon. Shut-Tor's team leads the attack, but Casemiro stops them alone and passes the ball to Acosta, who has broken the entire defensive line with ease. The Korean goalkeeper is crying and shaking like a coward. Costa thinks he just needs to touch the ball to score. But surprise, Hu Yong is right there with him. He runs faster and steals the ball. Ju Yong runs towards the enemy goal, while Costa sighs, thinking that he has no choice but to use his maximum speed right now. He runs towards where Huo Yang is, but he discovers, with fear, that he will lose a speed battle. He knows that he simply can't catch up with him anymore and stops completely. He kicks the grass to vent his fury, while the commentators do jokes about him, then focus on Hu Jong, who is abandoning his usual style of shooting from long range to dribble and beat the Brazilian team with speed, passing through their defense. The commentators realize that his dribble was like a Chad. However, Casemiro is facing Hu Yong to stop him. Hu Yong reads his talents and discovers that he is a soccer prodigy, ranked as B+, and has some decent defense and interception skills. To acquire his talents, Hu Yong must best him in an individual challenge and score a goal. Ju Yong knows that Casemiro will join Real Madrid in the future and become a good defender. He wants his skills and decides to fulfill both conditions in one go. Casemiro realizes that Hu Yong is fast, but thinks he can stop him. However, Hu Yong quickly kicks the ball next to him, and then he reaches it with his great speed. Casemiro is surprised that his defense has been violated. But by then, Ju Yong is already close to the goal. The goalkeeper comes forward to stop him, but Ju Yong shoots from a certain distance and scores a goal. The crowd erupts in cheers when Hu Yong scores the first goal of the match in an amazing way. The commentators also go crazy, as they think they underestimated the team Shut-Tor. The producer thinks that he not only trained more than Costa, but also broke Casemiro's defense, both in one play, and he thinks it will definitely be excellent content. After scoring, he is going to celebrate again with Ronaldo's style and thinks that Chad's ability is really amazing, and it feels like cheating. However, because he uses it, his knee is near to being broken, as the crowd cheers him on. Hu Yong thinks the stadium is below his level right now, and he shouldn't be too happy about the support. He wants to dominate the entire field in the game. Then suddenly, a system window goes out, opens in front of him, asking him to choose one of the talents to copy from Casemiro. He decides to improve his football prodigy talent and chooses it before looking at the revised conditions to copy more talents. He discovers that he now needs to break the defense only 5 times and score a hat trick. Hu Yong thinks he can do it in the remaining 30 minutes, and then he will copy the talent to intercept balls. Meanwhile, the Brazilian coach decides to replace Costa because he does not want him to feel stressed before the main tournament. Costa wants to play so he can do better, but the coach Carlos is sure he needs to rest now. He tells him to go back to the bench and think about what he learned with Hu Yong, so he can incorporate it into his game. Costa continued insisting that he wanted to play, but Coach Carlos transformed into a Super Saiyan and asks him to observe the game from the spectator's perspective. Meanwhile, Hu Yong continues to advance in the second half with great momentum. Even Sao Paulo is having a hard time fighting against that impulse. Costa is somewhat impressed, and Carlos reminds him that Ronaldo debuted his first game in a professional team at the age of 14 and scolds him. Carlos had coached and raised numerous soccer players, but Hu Yong is on a different level. Sao Paulo finally scored a goal, and the commentators were excited, thinking that the only thing they needed was time to adapt to the game. On the other hand, Hong is starting to get tired. This is a game that cannot be played alone. But still, he is not willing to give up because if they beat the mighty Sao Paulo of Brazil, it is going to be a great achievement. A while later, the match came to an end with Sao Paulo as the winner, and Coach Carlos feels relieved, as he was able to keep his last bet of pride. The match was supposed to be a moral boost for the youth tournament, but it ended differently. Carlos also keeps an eye on Hu Yong since he believes he has potential. More importantly, he still says that his speed with the ball is incredible and that his normal speed is not that good, but it is very explosive when he starts running. He is also curious about what it will be like when Hu Yong becomes physically mature. His assistant also tells him that if he has good talent for technique, he will become a star. Carlos responds by saying that it is true, but that his bases are very poor, but he is fast and intelligent, and above all, he enjoys football. They also say that he will be a good player at that level, and whether he is a brilliant genius, an ordinary genius, or a fleeting mediocre one, they will have to wait to find out later. Ju Yong's parents do not worry that their team has lost, since it was a good game. At that moment, Carlos appears before them and greets them in Spanish. He did not expect an answer, but Ju Yong's mother was born in Spain and knew Spanish. Later, Carlos introduces himself and asks if his son belongs to any youth club, and that he would like to have a contract with him while he receives training at his academy. On the other hand, Hu Yong is thinking about the talent he wants to copy first. He looks at Casemiro's talents, and then those of Costa. Jong fears that by choosing the prodigious talent in football B again, nothing will happen. So he decides to choose legs as fast as a car, since he also has another talent called charge and run, with which he manages to generate explosive speed when he has the ball. But after using it a lot, his knees get tired. Hoon thinks that these two will complement each other very well, and it will help him when he doesn't have the ball. With this last talent, he already has 7 talents copied, and he can already feel that his legs are full of energy. But when copying the talent, a window appears, saying that it will take 7 days to copy the entire talent, and he will not be able to copy other talents in that period of time. Hoon thinks this is fine, since Chaebin's talent took a whole month to copy. After that, a commentator approaches him to interview him. Ju Yong tells him that he is disappointed that they lost the match, but that it is okay. The commentator asks him if, no matter if they lost the match, he is giving credit to the opponent. Jong answers that winning and losing is important, but above all, he really wanted to score a goal today. The commentator also noticed that he ran more intensely than the other day and asks him if there is a reason behind that. And Hu Yong answers that he wanted to show that he could score a goal against foreign teams, since there were people who said they couldn't. The commentator and Hu Yong laugh together, while the coach thinks about everything that Hu Yong did in the match, and that it will be very good material for his video. Later, we can see that the family of Jong is having dinner in a restaurant while they talk about Sao Paulo recruiting Hu Yong. His parents explain to him that first, he will enter the academy and will have to take some exams to be evaluated. But the FIFA of this world is not allowing that, since he is too young and you need to be over 10 and 8 years old to go abroad alone to train. Hu Yong gives them the idea of asking the club for help, since he believes that since Sao Paulo is considering a youth deal, they will already have a plan to take him. Hu also asks why Carlos didn't come to talk to him in person, and his parents explained to him that it was probably because there were many reporters and he didn't want to make it known about his contract with him. He also asks them what they answered, and his father tells him that they rejected the offer, but it was all a joke, and he should ask his mother, since he didn't know Spanish. So Hu Yong asks his mother, and she responds that it was fine, as long as her son is happy. Hu Yong is very happy, since many football stars were born there, and he will have the opportunity to copy many talents. Later, we see Hu Yong looking for information about the youth tournament, and he realizes that 16 teams will participate, divided into groups of 4. He is happy, since there will be many prodigies and talents that he will be able to copy. When Hu Yong finishes, he gets up from the chair and suddenly notices a strong pain in his knee, because he used his skill too much. So he decides to do some massages on his knee. And at that moment, his mother comes into the room to see what he was doing and decides to help him, since he seemed to have knee pain. She also tells him that if football is too much for him, he can leave it, since his mother wants him to be healthy and not stress too much. Meanwhile, in the Chaebin offices, the manager of a team and his assistant talk about Hu Yong, since they remind him of a professional player. When little, Chaebin was also one of the legends of Korean football, and he wants to see Hu Yong for himself. So tomorrow he will call Hu Jong's parents to show up with them. The next day, Ju Yong's family arrives at the offices, and Chaebin greets him, introducing himself. Hu Yong greets back, a little nervous, Since he knows that in front of him is one of the legends of Korean football, Chaebin asks him if he knows who he is, and Hu-yong responds with a joke, saying that if he wasn't a bomber, since they called him Chaebin for constantly scoring a large number of goals, Chaebin also invites them to come inside to talk. Later, they let us know that he will decide to let Hu-yong enter the tournament or not, depending on a simple exam. Hu-yong accepts the offer and looks very happy about it. Some time later, we see Hu-yong enter a soccer field with the manager, where there were many more children of 13 years old or younger. Hong sets his gaze on a fairly tall child and decides to observe his talents, and they were quite good. Hu-yong remembers that the manager told him that it will be an 11 versus 11 match, and that it will not be easy to stand out from the other children. The match was beginning, and the strategy of Hu's team was 4-4-2. 2 rows with 4 defenders and 2 forwards. Hu-yong's position was a midfielder, so he had to wait for the exact moment to break the opponent's defense and score a goal. But as the match continues, the other players did not care to pass the ball to Hu-yong, who didn't stop running. He gets tired of waiting and decides to go steal the ball alone and positions himself again to receive a pass from the other side. The manager and his assistant are laughing at Hu's attitude, since it reminds the manager of something he did in Germany, and Hu-yong was doing that right now. The ball is going to reach him, but one of his teammates approaches to steal it. Hu-yong gets frustrated and decides to intercept the pass by stealing the ball and runs as fast as he can, passing through some defenders. Ahead, there were even more, but Hu-yong kicked the ball up, giving a perfect pass for the tall boy from before to score a goal with a header. They also teach us the conditions he needs to copy one of his talents. The first is to make 15 or more assists, and the second is to play with him in official matches for more than 250 minutes. He has already completed the first condition. His goal was to at least become over 180 centimeters in this life, and with one of his talents, he will reach that easily. They also give us more to know about the boy called Seok Yong-hun, who in the future would be called the Zlatan of Korea. His secret weapon was his height, which would reach 190 centimeters. He also thanked Ju for the pass. Jong, who responded with a thumbs up. Later in the game, Hu-jong continued to give assists, and they became very good friends. After the game, Chaebin and Hu-yong are talking about how he played in his first game, scoring only 1 goal, but gave 3 assists. Chaebin asks him if he prefers to give assists more than scoring goals, but Hu-yong replies that he prefers to score goals. Chaebin asks him, then why did Haenin Jun pass the ball to him instead of scoring directly? Hu-yong lies to him, saying that he wants to build a friendship in the team so that little by little they will accept him. But in truth, it is obviously because of his talents. Chaebin flatters him, saying that he is very thoughtful since he can understand that it is important to have a good connection with the members of the group. So, from now on, he will be practicing in the competition classes, and that his coach will talk to his mother about the tournament. Jong says he understands it, and uses his ability to see his talents. The first is Chaebin Thai's Class L. The second, leadership derived from experience, Class B. The third is excellent perspective on promising players, Class B. The fourth and last is excellent understanding of advanced techniques, Class B. Currently, it also appears that there are some faded talents since he stopped playing a long time ago, and will not be able to see them until he completes the conditions, which are the first, mark 30 goals with a mid-range total of at least 30 in an official match. The second is to reach the semifinals of a tournament considered by FIFA. Chaebin asks him why he is looking at him that way, since other people cannot see the talent windows. Hu-yong tells him that it is nothing, and he believes that Class L is legend class. Also, Chaebin's thighs are extremely large and resistant and generate a giant explosive speed. That is why the conditions are so complicated. Since Chaebin is a different person, Chaebin asks him if he heard anything from Sao Paulo, or if they were told to come to Brazil with him. He also tells him that last time a team called Flamengo came and took one of his players. Hu-yong answers that he did receive an offer, and Chaebin asks him, so what does he want to do? Hu-yong tells him that he wants to go to Brazil, and Chaebin answers that it is a good decision, but that it will be complicated and that he should not give up if he wants to become a soccer star. Hu Yong thanks him for the advice and tells him that if he has any problem, to come to him. From that day, he began to work actively in the club's practices and in joining the team. Obviously, he continued giving assists to Jeon Hun, and that is why his position changed to second striker, who helps the main striker and helps to get scores. He also should get the abilities of a main striker. The coach tells him that he should take the initiative in the attack, and he should not take the ball with his shoulders that much, and he has to have confidence in himself. Hu Yong tells him not to worry about it and that he will fix it later, the day before the competition. We see Hu Yong give a pass to Jeon Hun, as always, while the coach is surprised by how well they go together, and that they will be a very good weapon for the tournament. After that, they finish the training, and Hu Yong finished the first condition to copy one of Jeon Hun's talents, and he only needed to finish the second. And, since a match lasts 50 minutes, he will need to reach at least the quarterfinals. The next day, the tournament started, and the players enter the stadium. The match was between FC Chebon and the Polish national team. Hu Yong enters the stadium, and he feels like a professional player at that moment. He remembers that he could have met Lendi if he had been there a few months earlier, and he feels bad about it. The match begins. Hu Yong is ready to win it again. The strategy is 4-4-2 since they can put pressure throughout the field. While in the Polish national team, they use a 4-2-3-1 formation to strategically use their physical skills. The Poland players begin their attack by dominating the entire field and breaking the defense of FC Chebon. The players of FC Chebon don't know what to do, and the Polish national team keeps pressing. But in a bad pass, Hu Yong comes into play and steals the ball to pass it over. The player is frustrated that he took the ball from him and won't let him pass. But Hu Yong easily dodges it, and he runs to receive a pass. The defenders are in front of him, but Hu Yong manages to cross it without problem, arriving in front of the goal to also leave the goalkeeper behind and almost fall while scoring a goal. Hu Yong's team is happy, and they praise him. Hu Yong had in mind to score a great goal, but his legs were moving so fast that he simply couldn't control them. The coach of the Poland team is surprised that a 9-year-old boy can do all that, breaking all defenses so easily. Later in the match, Hu Yong receives a pass, but he doesn't see room to give his friend Jeon Hun an assist. So he yells at him to run up, moving aside some defenses so that Hu Yong can make his way towards the goal. Jeon Hun asks him for a pass, but Hu Yong had other plans and decides to go to a one-on-one with the goalkeeper, taking a mid-range shot and scoring a great goal. Hu Yong runs towards the sideline to make his celebration, stolen from Cristiano Ronaldo. In front of Hu Yong, a window appears notifying him that his mid-range shooting talent has risen in rank, making him wonder if he can improve other talents too. With Hu Yong's second goal, Poland feels cornered, but what they didn't know was about Hu Yong's power. Jeon Hun approaches him to ask him why he didn't pass the ball to him, and Hu Yong lies to him, saying that first, he needs a guaranteed victory. But in truth, it was because he had already fulfilled the condition of giving him the passes, to which Jeon Hun gets a little depressed. But Hu Yong tells him to just wait for another opportunity. Some time later, there are only 13 minutes left, and the score remains the same until Hu Yong shoots and scores a goal, making the crowd very happy as his team is winning. As the match continued, 3 people were now marking Hu Yong to not let him score, but his teammate gives him a pass that was a little far from the defenders since he knew that Hu Yong would arrive. But the pass was a little long, and there was a defender waiting for him. He had nothing to do. But at that moment, he remembers that Jeon Hun is positioned for the goal with a header, and he takes the pass, making them score another goal. Jeon Hun celebrates by pointing to his mother, which reminds Hu Yong that his mother is also there to help him. Jeon Hun thanks him for the pass and seems to be very happy, reminding Hu Yong that life is lonely, but football is together. Later, when the match comes to an end, they are interviewing Hu Yong, who scored 3 goals and gave an assist, being the MVP of the match. Hu Yong answers that he won thanks to the fact that his teammates helped him. The interviewer is surprised at how mature he is and asks him if he has something to say to the public. He responds by saying, "I love you, Mom and Dad," and that he will end up being one of the best soccer players in the future. So please support me. Hu Yong hears it on TV, and he is very ashamed of having said it, since it sounds like he is in his emo phase. While, on the other hand, on the internet, some of his haters became his fans, therefore his fan base has grown a lot. The next day, they had a match against those from Sweden called Djurgården IF, which they narrowly won 3-2. After that match, it was FC Porto. It was a very difficult match, and despite all of Hu Yong's goals, it ended in a dramatic draw. The next day, in the quarterfinals, they played against Paraguay, and with 2 goals in a row from Hu Yong and Yong Hun, they won in a comeback. Now it was the semifinals, and their opponent was the national team of Japan U13, the team that ended up classified second in Group A. The team that wins the match will be able to go to the Sangam of Seoul Stadium. The match between FC Chaban and the Japan national team was about to start, and Hu Yong set his sights on Koga Shinji, the key player of the team, and took a look at his talents, which were football prodigy Class B, delicate touch of the ball Class C, and movement without the ball Class C. The conditions for copying a talent were 1. To win the match, and 2. To steal the ball 5 times. As Hu Yong was a striker, it would be difficult to steal the ball 5 times, so he decides to change his position to a free role, a style of play that allows him to move freely around the field, but requires a very good understanding of the game and vision of the field. He also approaches Shinji to tell him that he will die today since he has his eye on him. In the first 7 minutes of the game, the Japanese team takes the lead and passes it to Shinji, who is being followed by Hu Yong. Shinji realizes that he is very fast and that this was a battle of technique, while, on the other hand, the coach does not understand what Hu Yong is doing by leaving his position. But Hu Yong easily catches up to Shinji, steals the ball from him in a moment, and runs towards the goal. The other players are surprised that he is also so good in defense. At that moment, Hu Yong remembers the skill copied from Casemiro, which now went up to Class B and was now called precise ball interception. On the other hand, Shinji is surprised that a striker could steal the ball from him so easily, if he shouldn't even focus on defending, making him feel very humiliated. As the game continued, Hung always managed to steal the ball from Zinji, who became more and more frustrated. Ho had already fulfilled the second condition, and now he only had to win the game. So he began to focus on attacking and always managed to get through the defenses without problem. Hu Zhang realizes that he is in a difficult situation right now and looks for a pass by finding Park Hwang-yu and passing it on the ground, and then he returns it to him, making his way towards the goal. Hu Yong is about to shoot when he sees John Hun, and instead of passing, he shoots at the goal, making the goalkeeper manage to stop it. But what he did not expect was that Yon Hun would use the rebound as an opportunity to score with a header. With that goal, the Korean team took the lead. After that, in the game, the Japanese team was unable to do anything but defend, ending the match 3-0, winning FC Chaban. The entire team celebrates the victory because they will reach the final and will only need one more victory to become champions. The next match was Sao Paulo FC against Germany, and the team that won would play against FC Chaban in the final. The match surprisingly ended with Sao Paulo losing 4-0, making the German team win and go to the final. Even Hu Yong was surprised that Sao Paulo could not do anything. And on top of that, some of the players measured no more than 170 centimeters. In front of Ju Yong appears a window showing all the talents he has, 8 in total, thanks to the one he copied yesterday from Zinji. Now he only needed to run with Jian Hun for about 20 minutes in the final to give him a talent. At that moment, Hu Yong hears someone calling him, and when he turns around, he sees Shinji again, who comes to tell him that next time he will win while he extends his hand. Hu Yong accepts the challenge and tells him that he has also played very well since Ju Yong did not understand Japanese well and thought he was praising him. The next day, the players enter the stadium, and some of the people in the audience are already cheering for Hu Yong. The match between VfB Pengel and FC Chaban began, and Hung had his eyes on Volgo-Bat Sudberg, who in the future would be the best German defender, and decides to observe his talents, which were 1 football prodigy Class B, excellent defensive placement Class B, and finally decent blocking skills Class C. The conditions to copy one of the talents were 1. To win the game, and 2. To score a goal but assist 10 times. Hu Yong realizes that his talents are not that good either. But the boy is too tall. 15 minutes into the game, the German team takes the lead by scoring the first goal. Hu Yong found it difficult to do anything since the tall defenders blocked him from all sides, making it impossible for him to do anything since they had him in their sights for being the top scorer. Hu Yong gets frustrated and decides that he will score a goal for it. But as the match continues, the German team continues to have the lead, scoring not one but two more goals, leaving the scoreboard at 3-0. The commentators say that it is normal that it is difficult for them since the other players measured more than 20 centimeters compared to the others. Right after that, Hu Yong makes a central advance with the ball, but their Volgo was waiting for him. Hu Yong yells at him to stay put, moves, and gives him a push, knocking him to the ground while he also falls. The referee approaches and shows a red card, not to Hu Yong, but to Volvo, expelling him from the field. Hu Jong prepares to give the penalty, kicking the ball with all his strength and scoring a great goal, narrowly missed. The public celebrates, and Hu Yong makes Ronaldo's celebration. Then Hu Yong remembers having copied a talent in training called a free kick with a minor class style. Later, the game ends, and the score remains 3-1, making the German team win the tournament. Hu Yong feels bad for losing it, but at least he got a lot of talents and promises to win the next one. The FC Chebin didn't receive the trophy, but Huo achieved to score 10 goals and make 5 assists, so he received the Golden Boot with it. He also received a total of 4 million wans, which would be around $3,000. Hu Yong also completed the conditions to copy a talent from Jeon Juni. Obviously, he chose the Major B-class open growth plate that will help him grow in height. Now the number of talents he has risen to 9. While the players come out, many people cheer them, saying that they did well. Hu Jong feels very grateful to have good fans and starts almost crying and promises to win next time. There began his path to glory, and Hu Jong is very happy. The bus goes, and he takes the opportunity to ask the driver what country comes to mind when he thinks about football. He responds by saying that obviously, Brazil. Days later, on January 6th of the second millennium, Hu Yong's family arrived in Sao Paulo, Brazil, at that time. A woman calls them to introduce herself as Maria Choi, and she is the eldest daughter of the family where Hu Jong will stay. The other person was Lucas Kim, the local support officer of Sao Paulo FC. He approaches Hu Yong and tells him that he has seen him a lot on TV and that he was very adorable in person, and the two welcome him to Sao Paulo. Later, they arrive in the city of Vitoria, where they are being shown the house where they will stay. While they go up the stairs, a girl who seems very pretty to Hu Jong is there. She greets Ju Yong's family and leaves. Maria Choi tells him that she was Monica and that she was staying in the next room. She also told him that she is about 10 years old. Hu Yong is surprised that she is only 10 years old and is so tall. While he thought she was in high school, they walk a little more and arrive at Hu Yong's room. He loves the way it looks. 2 days later, they will do a medical test to determine which team Ju Jong will join. Lucas Kim goes to Hung's parents to ask them how tall they are. The father responds that he is 1.66, while the mother is 1.68. Lucas Kim tells them that they are actually subjecting Hu Yong to an examination of the growth plate, and that height is influenced by genetic factors. He also tells them that no matter how short the club is, it has a prepared growth system. The father relaxes a little and hopes that his son will obtain good results. In a few minutes, they receive a call and are told the results of the exam. Lucas tells the parents that they are very good and that they are ready. Right now, Hu Yong's potential height is between 182 and 189. The whole family is very happy, and Hu Yong is surprised by how good Yong Hun's talent is. Some time later, they are given the program papers for the future that they have for Hu Yong about the youth team, the academy, and about Article 19 of the transfer provisions of FIFA. Lucas also tells Hu that he will not stay there forever, as Brazil is just a passing phase for him. He has many clubs to visit, and player registration is in April. Until then, he will learn the basics at the academy, and after completing the basic training and individual evaluations, they will calculate his average based on the results of the medical tests, and that the GPA is like an evaluation score necessary for the contract. Lucas tells him that the minimum passing grade was a 6.5 out of 10, and the terms of the contract vary depending on whether this score becomes less than 6.5. He will have to continue training at the academy and wait for the next opportunity. Lucas asks him if after coming so far, he will go back, and Hoon jokingly says yes, excitedly. Lucas laughs and tells him not to worry since he will easily pass the written exam and not forget to study Portuguese well. Hu Yong's family seems confused as they listen to Portuguese, and Lucas explains to them that the exams in Portuguese are also included in the individual evaluation, to which Hu Yong seems scared since he will have to really study Portuguese. Sometime later, Hu Yong's parents say goodbye to their son since they cannot stay there. His father tells him to take care of himself and asks him if he will be able to do it. Hu Yong replies yes, and his parents are happy. His mother gives him a hug and tells him that if at any time things get difficult, he doesn't have to bear it alone, and that they can let him know at any time. So they say goodbye. After that day, Hu Yong spent all his time wisely without wasting it. First, he studied Portuguese quickly since he had to start primary school next month. It helped him a lot that his mother knew Spanish since Portuguese and Spanish have many similarities. Maria Choi also brought him children foreigners to give him private lessons, which helped him improve his skills quickly. From morning to afternoon, he trained at the Sub-9 Academy, that is, under 9 years old, until he formally joined. But for now it was only about developing and mastering the basic skills until the player registration period in April. Sometimes communication and training was difficult, but since sports involve body movements it could be understood reasonably well. They always had to come back when the sun set since security there was not as good as in Korea. Hu Jong wishes he could have a beer like in the old days, but he leaves that aside and thinks about making friends quickly so that it will be easier for him to practice. So he goes outside to look for people out there. He meets Monica, who was heading towards her. The room that was next to Hoon's room greets him in Spanish, and Hu Yong gets nervous and has a hard time speaking, but manages to get some words out of his mouth and asks him if he knows Korean. Monica asks him if he speaks English and Ju Jong answers that he knows a little. Monica asks him if he knows Russian, but Hu Yong says no. Then he asks him if he knows Spanish, and he answers that his mother was born there. Later we see them talking in Monica's room, and they give us knowing that her father was Brazilian and her mother was Russian-American and her paternal grandmother was Spanish. Monica tells him that her paternal grandmother also gave her the name. Han answers that it is impressive and wonders how many bloodlines are mixed in her. Monica tells her who can speak Spanish, Portuguese, Russian, and English, but cannot speak them like a native. Hu Yong uses his ability to see his talents and was first gymnastics prodigy class B, second innate sense of language class B, third body balance class B minor, fourth and last soft flexibility class C. The conditions to copy a talent were 1. Speak in a foreign language for 6,000 minutes, or in other words 100 hours. Second, pass the international certification exam of the Brazilian language at the advanced level or higher. And finally, the third, stretches together for more than 300 minutes, or in other words 5 hours. Hoon focuses on the linguistic talent and remembers that Maria also had a similar talent, but with Monica it will be easier. Hoon asks her if she does any sports and Monica tells him that she does rhythmic gymnastics. Then he realizes that she has Russian heritage and asks him if he doesn't want to go to Russia or Spain since it is more popular there. Monica answers that she lived in Rio de Janeiro with her family and started it as a hobby. Her teacher also said that she had talent, and that's why she was learning it in Brazil, but that if she did well she would go to study in Spain. Hu Yong tells her that she seems to have a talent for gymnastics, and Monica laughs, telling her that she seems like a different person than the others. Someone more fun than Hu Yong gives him the idea of being friends. That's how their friendship began. After that, time passed quickly between studying hard, exercising, and putting effort into copying talents. A month flew by. In February, at the beginning of a new semester, he enrolled in a primary school that was 10 minutes away by bus, and thanks to his happy and sociable personality, he managed to make many friends. But from time to time there were malicious jokes with elements of racial discrimination, and most problems were solved with football and his remarkable skills. It sparked the interest of the neighborhood children. In the afternoon, he received private lessons from Monica, and Hu Yong says that it was the busiest and most exciting time of his life. But he would not give up. Thinking about his family and his dreams, 2 months later in April, he managed to acquire 2 more talents, making there now 2 pages of talents, even in situations in which his communication was not perfect. He has gained 2 more talents. The first, graceful flexibility, Class C, and the second, innate sense of language, Class C, major at that time. Maria and Monica enter the room asking about the results of the Portuguese certification exam. Shows them that he has passed, and they are all happy together. Now he only had to get a deal with the Sao Paulo FC team. Thursday, April 3rd, 2023. The director of the Sao Paulo FC youth team, Bianca, tells Young that he has worked hard all this time and congratulates him, making him happy. She tells him that for all his hard work during the last 88 days, his GPA evaluation score was of 9.3, almost perfect. They also tell him that the total score is slightly lower due to his Portuguese, but that still the score was very high for a soccer player. In 24 games that played against other academies, he scored 26 goals and 6 assists, obtaining 9.33 out of 10. The medical score for lung capacity, muscle strength and body balance was 9.35 points, also high. Bianca tells him that, as has already been mentioned, the details of the contract vary depending on the academic average, and since his has exceeded 9 points, he has received the highest ranking, reaching first place. Young is very happy, and Bianca tells him that they are making an offer suitable for his skills, and that it may have been a challenge due to the communication barrier, but that they appreciate his perseverance, or in other words, that he has not given up. Even Coach Carlos is very happy with him. Afterwards, they let us know that his salary is 400 reais a week, which would be approximately 250,000 US or $190. Not as much as the 450,000 US or 342 that Cristiano Ronaldo received when he was 12 years old, but still earns $1 million US a month, or approximately $700, which was much more than what he earned in his past life. And he could also receive prizes for participating in the league and scoring goals. Bianca reminds him that if it happens to a higher class, his salary would only increase, to which Young asks him which class he will join, and Bianca answers that he will initially enter a sub-13 team, and once his name is registered on the list, he will be able to participate in the weekly league matches, and at that time you will also be provided with his salary. Remembers that the Sao Paulo sub-13 team he will be joining was the one he played against in Shut Tour. In the early hours of April 4th, Young is giving a while playing with the ball through the streets. He says he is nervous about going with the other players, but he slaps his face and tells himself that a real man cannot be stopped by such small obstacles, and that he himself is a real man, and he can do it. Suddenly Monica comes out of the window and calls him to tell him that Maria was telling him to hurry up to leave. Later we see Young about to get into a car with Maria as he says goodbye to Monica. On the way, Maria asks him if he keeps in touch with his parents, and he answers that obviously. He also asks him if he has plans to visit them sometime, and Young tells him that due to work they won't be able to come, so instead that he himself will go to visit them with the league championship trophy. That year he had 3 objectives in mind. The first is to win the weekly sub-13 league. The second is to promote to sub-15, and the third and last is to acquire all the talents of promising young people in Brazil. Young realized that among all the adults he has known, none of them had a talent like the soccer prodigy. Or in short, talents like the soccer prodigy probably influence the rate of growth until adulthood. But finding some of them from looks older is very difficult. But still there should be many talented children in sub-13. Later, Young arrives at his destination, where there is an indoor study area and 4 mini futsal fields to play mini matches, even an indoor soccer field and a gym to practice on rainy days inside. A person approaches Young and tells him that this was the training center, and it is the largest in all of Brazil. That person was Emily, the coach of the Sao Paulo FC. But they called her Mom. Amoy tells him that she is very happy to see him so happy, and that if he ever has any problems he should not hesitate to talk to her at any time. Young thanks him as they head towards the area training. When Young arrives he sees many other children and a huge field. And although the training started in half an hour, everyone was already warming up diligently. Then a person approaches him with his friends and asks him if his grade was really 9.1, to which Hu Yong tells them that it was really 9.33. So Hu Yong thinks that they are warming up so as not to lose their position for Hu Yong, and apparently they play as if their lives depended on it. After that, Costa and Casemiro enter the stadium asking him why. What was there with a bad face? Hu Yong uses his ability to see his talents and came back, because he still had to copy the others. Later we see some of the players talk about Hu Yong, saying that thanks to him their team will probably improve in ranking in the league. The other players ask if Hu Yong was so good since they did not see him play before, and Costa answers that he is a very good player. Casemiro remembers that before his team won the league 7 times in a row, but now they were not doing it also due to the lack of a striker. And that is why Carlos brought Hu Yong, otherwise he would not have brought such a young player for the sub-13 league. Sometime later one of the coaches is talking to them about the training regime having been reorganized with the incorporation of new members. On the other hand, Hu Yong wonders what they will focus on in tactical training or teamwork. After a while we see Hu Yong training with other boys, and he thinks that they are starting with the most basic and the training had nothing special. Then they started playing duo, and Ju Yong notes something different, that they followed a structured but non-imposing Brazilian educational philosophy. That doesn't mean that they neglect it, but on the contrary there are several programs. So it's surprisingly interesting. But Hu Yong had it difficult to follow the pace with training. He has done many basic passing drills, but passing the ball in specified situations was still difficult. One of the coaches notices Hu Yong's failure and tells him that passing is not just about kicking the ball. It was about maintaining balance his body and perfect his posture. If he gets nervous or if the space is tight, his balance changes, making the passes unstable. Therefore, maintaining the correct balance is crucial to achieve stable passes. Hu Yong asks him, when is the perfect moment and how do you do it? He knows, but the coach tells him that even if he tells him, it will be very difficult to understand it, and it is better that he learns it only with practice. Then Hu Yong realizes that the answer is always the same, since practice is the only way. Later we observe the coaches talk about Hu Yong having talent, but his fundamentals were quite poor. The biggest problem was his stamina, and one of the coaches says that he is not at the sub-13 level, and that if not they should consider taking him to sub-11. But Carlos tells him that no, and that they should help Hu Yong grow, since as much as it is hard for him, it is his responsibility. He had only been playing football for 6 months, and taking into account his talent, they should give him time to develop, and if they give him the opportunity, without a doubt he will catch up. On the other hand, Hu Yong is thinking that in the sub-13 league there were many talented players, but that right now he should focus on just one. Costa, his talents were a major Class B football prodigy, Class B+, 2 legs as fast as a car, Class A, and the third and last master of balance, alternating between genius and fool, Class C major. The conditions to copy a talent were 1 to train with 120 or more players, and 2 to receive assistance from Costa in the training of the team that managed to score 20 goals, as Han no longer only acquired, but also improved the talent of legs as fast as a car, and apart from the master of balance, the only talent he had left was a major Class B football prodigy that he already possessed. But he wanted to see what would happen if he copied it again that day. It was the perfect day, since they have team training 3 times a week. When the game was about to start, Hu Yong apparently he put himself in Costa's place, and he asks him to go back to play a shadow forward or something like that. But Hu Yong refuses and tells him that he will score a goal. Costa responds that he is too slow to score, and that he will take care of them, and in return, since he was good at controlling the ball, Hu Yong would manage to annoy the opposing defenders a little from a little further down. He asks him if he is okay with it, but Hu Yong asks him what he means by slow, since the last time he managed to overtake him without any problem. So Hu Yong decides to try him in a race, and Costa tells him that his mother used to say that people should know their limits, making fun of Hu Yong, but he was prepared to show him the opposite. The race was about to start and Costa was ready. But Hu Yong was very confident and did not even get in position to run when he started. Hu Yong seems to be going very slow, and Costa ends up winning the race, but he is surprised that he was able to go almost at the same speed as him.